Hello Malaysia, I'm Renee Fong and this is Updates at Noon. In our headlines today, 5 chicken producers given extension to refute chicken cartel allegations. No charges for replacement of My Card affected by flood. The Transport Ministry's Air Accident Investigation Bureau will conduct further investigations into the helicopter crash in Cameron Highlands yesterday. Transport Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Wee Ka Siong said the Bureau's investigation officers will also be asked to improve and maintain safety compliance inspections among private operators in the local aviation industry. Datuk Seri Dr. Wee in a Facebook post said the officers need to be more alert, especially considering the bad weather factor. In the 1:15 p.m. incident, the pilot of the Airbus AS355F2 helicopter and the 5 passengers on board were found safe and taken to the hospital. The helicopter transporting a medical team crashed while attempting an emergency landing in a forested area near Brinchang. The aircraft, operated by Layang-Layang Aerospace Rem Berhad, had taken off from Kampung Gawin in Gua Musang, Kelantan for Tanjung Rambutan, Perak at 12:20 p.m. Layang-Layang Group in a statement said the aircraft was transporting medical personnel to Tanjung Rambutan after serving the rural area of Kampung Gawin when the aircraft lost contact with the company's flight operations centre. 5 chicken-producing companies have been given an extension until 19th December to make representations to deny their alleged involvement in a chicken cartel. Deputy Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Minister Datuk Rosal Wahid said the 5 companies operating on the West Coast had previously been instructed by the Malaysian Competition Commission (MyCC) to submit representations by 21st October. However, Datuk Rosal explained that the deadline was extended due to the complexity of the case. He noted that MyCC has conducted a detailed investigation and found evidence of their involvement in chicken cartel activities.
MyCC dah menyiasat dan mengakui bahawa ada unsur-unsur kartel. Jadi untuk nak menafikan apa yang telah disiasat oleh MyCC, mereka perlu memukakan representasi kepada MyCC untuk dinilai. Melibatkan 5 company. 5 company besar, semuanya di Patah Barat lah.
Based on preliminary investigations made by MyCC, the 5 enterprises have infringed a Section 4 of the Competition Act 2010 by entering into anti-competitive agreements. The Home Ministry is proposing the setting up of a one-stop centre to investigate cases involving forensics. Its Minister Datuk Seri Hamzah Zainuddin said the one-stop centre will involve the Health Ministry, the National Registration Department and the Chemistry Department. Explaining further, Datuk Seri Hamzah said the centre will also be assisted by other related agencies where data procurement is needed. He said the one-stop centre will function as a depository for information collection apart from helping to speed up the investigation process of a case.
Bila kita lihat dari segi siasatan atau mencari penyelesaian dari mana-mana kes, kita perlukan siasatan yang begitu rapi. Tadi saya telah maklumkan, bila kita nak lakukan dengan mencari the guilty mind, tambahan pula dengan penekanan the guilty act yang dilakukan itu, ianya berkait rapat, tetapi kalau ada satu kaedah yang boleh dilakukan dengan begitu baik di sini, center yang mencukupi dengan segala alat-alatnya, lab yang cukup, saya yakin kita dapat mempercepat, kerana kalau yang bersalah kita boleh bawa mereka terus untuk dibawa ke mahkamah.
Datuk Sri Hamzah added that besides enforcement, the one-stop centre can also be used by other agencies such as the Immigration Department in solving a case. He said it could also provide opportunities for Malaysians to be involved in the field of forensic science as well as enhance related cooperation abroad. The replacement of My Card for those affected by floods will be made within half an hour without any charges. The commitment was stated by the National Registration Department in order to help and ensure that residents who had lost their identity card due to the disaster would be able to fulfill their responsibility and cast their votes during the 15th general election. Its Director General, Datuk Ruslin Juso, said apart from My Card, the process would also involve the replacement of other destroyed documents issued by the department such as birth certificates.
Seluruh pejabat cawangan kita akan bergerak membantu mereka di mana mereka musibah itu berlaku. Dengan arti kata lain, di samping program Mekar, tetapi pejabat-pejabat cawangan juga akan turun ke padang bersama agensi-agensi lain untuk memastikan mereka yang kehilangan dokumen tadi, kita buat gantian segera, terutama dalam keadaan pilihan raya yang akan datang ni. Setiap pengundi mereka perlu ada IC, perlu ada My Card. Sekiranya berlaku kehilangan IC ataupun disebabkan banjir ataupun musibah-musibah lain, kita akan buat penggantian dengan kadar segeralah.
Datuk Ruslin was met during the handover of My Card and birth certificate to bedridden senior citizen Wan Nab Ismail, whose birth was not registered by her parents because she suffered from a mental disability. The Royal Malaysian Navy's Special Force Pascal will be procuring various new assets soon to raise its capability in maintaining security of the country. Senior Defence Minister Datuk Sri Hishamuddin Tun Hussein said the procurement effort followed continuous discussions between the Defence Ministry's top officials and the Royal Malaysian Navy, taking into account the wants and needs of the security agency. Elaborating further, Datuk Sri Hishamuddin said Pascal not only places importance on regular tactical training but also on the need for assets in tackling security threats.
Kumpulan-kumpulan elit ni penting dalam konteks kita nak pastikan moral anggota ATM sentiasa berada di tahap yang tertinggi. Dan saya tahu dan saya lihat sendiri kemampuan mereka secara fizikal dan atur gerak anggota, tetapi pada masa yang sama tidak ada sebab pihak Mendef tak boleh membantu membekalkan aset-aset yang diperlukan oleh mereka dalam masa yang diharapkan.
Datuk Sri Hishamuddin said the procurement included for assets such as the closed-circuit breathing apparatus, submachine guns, static parachutes, free-fall parachutes and thermal binoculars, as well as building of a sniper shooting tower at the sniper shooting range. He said Pascal also received over 900 assets of various types, including the Glock 17 Gen 4 M4 carbines, bulletproof vests, spotter scopes and Thales handheld radios from the United States. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah hopes that the comprehensive and symbiotic relations between Malaysia and Singapore will continue to flourish for the benefit of both countries and the people. His Majesty said due to this, it was important for both nations to work together, cooperate and collaborate amid the changing global geopolitics, geo-economic and geostrategic landscape.
Similarly, as the founding members of ASEAN, Malaysia and Singapore should continue to collaborate with one another and with the rest of ASEAN, as well as our preferred partners to ensure Southeast Asia will be a region of peace, stability and prosperity.
Al-Sultan Abdullah said this at a state banquet held at the Istana yesterday, in conjunction with the state visit by His Majesty and Raja Permaisuri Agong Tunku Hajah Azizah Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria to the Island Republic. Meanwhile, Singapore President Halimah Yacob said Singapore and Malaysia will continue to strengthen trust and understanding between the two countries and to work together for mutual benefit of the people, especially the younger generations.
In May, the Singapore Management University signed a Memorandum of Understanding with Malaysia's University Technology Petronas to boost exchanges between staff and students.
On the foreign front, 13 killed, dozens other wounded in terror attack at a SAHIH shrine in Iran. Details coming to you right after this.
Seronoknya kau nak berkelah dekat sini. Tak sabarnya nak mandi. Kotor je tempat ni. Apa yang aku tahu, kalau tempat kotor macam ni, baliklah macam ni. Nanti dia jangkiti leptospirosis pula.
Anda bijak kerana tidak berkelah di kawasan yang berpotensi untuk dijangkiti leptospirosis.
Okey Malaysia.
Anda bersedia? Ayo semua. Depan, belakang, jengkit, lompat, kiri, kanan, angkat, tolak, bawah dan atas. Teruskan. Cuk. Tarik nafas. Lepas. Sempena bulan Malaysia sihat sejahtera. Mulakan gerak sihat anda sekarang. Lebih aktif. Lebih hebat. Hebat.
At least 13 people were killed yesterday in an attack by armed terrorists at a Shiite Muslim shrine in the southern Iranian city of Shiraz. State television reported about 40 other individuals were wounded, with at least one woman and 2 children were among those killed. Local media initially reported 3 assailants carried out the attack and 2 had been detained, but a local official instead said there was only 1 attacker. Daesh group had come forward and released a statement claiming their involvement in the attack. Sources indicated that the fighter began his attack by shooting at multiple Iranian policemen and shrine guards, killing and wounding several of them. The local police chief said the attacker was being questioned after he was captured, giving no further details. The killing of Shiite pilgrims praying at the Shah Chirag shrine increased tension in the country, reeling from weeks of protests sparked by the killing in custody of Kurdish woman Mahsa Amini. Security forces clashed with protesters marking 40 days since death of the 22-year-old's death. Daryl Brooks, a Wisconsin man who killed 6 people and injured dozens of others when he drove his SUV into a Christmas parade near Milwaukee last year, was found guilty of intentional murder and other charges. A 12-member jury convicted Brooks of more than 76 charges, including 6 counts of intentional homicide, each of which carries a mandatory penalty of life in prison. Brooks was accused of deliberately driving his sports utility vehicle through police barricades on 21st November and ploughing into crowds of people participating in the annual parade in Waukesha, about 25 kilometers west of downtown Milwaukee. The dead ranged in age from 8 to 81 and more than 60 others were injured, including at least 18 children. At the time of the attack, Brooks was out on bail on a domestic abuse charge. He was arrested near the scene and has been in custody ever since. During his closing argument on Monday, Brooks told the jury that he had no intention of hurting anyone. He said he sounded the vehicle's horn as he drove through the crowd, attempting to warn people to get out of the way. Before the verdicts were read yesterday, Brooks asked the judge to rule on several motions, including a request for a mistrial, but the judge denied all of them. Britain's new Prime Minister Rishi Sunak yesterday delayed the announcement of a keenly awaited plan for repairing the country's public finances until 17th November, 2.5 weeks later than previously planned. The postponement, Sunak's first policy decision since taking over from Liz Truss on Tuesday, briefly raised British borrowing costs in financial markets. But there was no repeat of the panic bond selling caused by Truss's September tax-cutting plan. Sunak takes on an economy facing recession at a time when the Bank of England is raising interest rates to tame double-digit inflation. Low growth and rising borrowing costs have worsened the strain on already stretched public finances. The government is drawing up spending cuts and cancelling tax cuts, just as the rising cost of mortgages, food, fuel and heating is squeezing many household budgets to their limits. Sunak told Parliament that they will have to take difficult decisions to restore economic stability and confidence. Finance Minister Jeremy Hunt said more time was needed to ensure the new plan took into account new economic forecasts. It is expected to set out how the government will plug a budget shortfall of as much as £40 billion and will be fully audited by Britain's fiscal watchdog. Russia's strategic forces carried out drills yesterday, including a test launch of a ballistic missile from a submarine, further stoking concerns that a nuclear weapon could be deployed in the Ukraine war. Russian President Vladimir Putin surveyed the drills carried out by his nuclear-capable forces as Moscow persisted in claiming that Kiev was developing a dirty bomb. On Monday, the Russian Foreign Ministry posted photographs of ostensible nuclear materials on social media it said depicted Ukraine's capacities to create the dirty bomb. But yesterday, Slovenia said the photo came from its own nuclear waste management agency and dated to 2010. Meanwhile, Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky said fighting remained intense in the eastern Donbas region near Bakhmut, a town Russia's elite Wagner troops have made a concerted push to seize.
Ситуація на передовій суттєвих змін не зазнала. Найбільш жорсткі бої на Донеччині, Бахмутський напрямок, Авдіївка. Там зараз найбільше видно божевілля російського командування. День за днем протягом місяців вони гонять туди людей на смерть. Зосереджують там максимальну потужність артилерійських ударів.
In the main southern front, Russians were apparently fortifying their positions in Kherson city as civilians were evacuating the region. At least 70,000 people have left their homes in Kherson province in the space of a week. Bayern Munich advanced to round 16 after beating Barcelona 3-0. That and more in our sports segment. We begin our sports segment with local football news. Super League 2022 champions Johor Darul Takzim JDT won big in their Malaysia Cup campaign's kick-off after thrashing Petaling Jaya PJ City FC 4-0 in the first round. First leg tie at the Petaling Jaya City Council Stadium last night. Just 4 minutes into the match, JDT opened the scoring with a header by defender Sharul Muhammad Saad off a corner kick before Muhammad Safawi Rasid doubled their lead with a left-footed lob in the 39th minute. Into the second half, the Southern Tigers scored their goal in the 70th minute when Muhammad Akir Abdul Rashid played a lovely 1-2 with Leandro Velasquez before slotting the ball home. Fernando Forestieri then capped a wonderful night for JDT by clinching the fourth goal 9 minutes later when he connected cleanly with a pass from Arif Aiman Muhammad Hanapi to ensure the return leg at their home ground should be just a formality.
Sentuhan emas dari Arif Aiman.
In another match, Selangor also managed to carve out a comfortable 2-0 win over Kelantan United FC at the Sultan Muhammad IV Stadium in Kota Baru. The Red Giants, under the wings of former national coach Tan Cheng Ho, got their goals through a Harrison Cayon Ferreira brace, with the Brazilian heading home the first in the 37th minute and adding the second with a right footer from close range in the 63rd minute. Selangor are now unbeaten in 5 matches, including 1 draw since Cheng Ho took over as head coach at the end of September.
Alisson Kayon lagi sekali meledak.
Meanwhile, Kedah Darul Aman KDA FC failed to capitalise on their home ground advantage when they slipped to a 2-1 loss to the Negeri Sembilan FC in front of the home crowd. However, credit to the visitors for a valiant performance, especially after fighting back from going 1-0 down through a Fayyad Zulkifli Amin goal in the 8th minute. Sheikh Rashid Sheikh Halim sparked Negeri Sembilan's fight back when he equalised in the 42nd minute before Matheus Alves scored the winning goal in the 62nd minute with a powerful header past goalkeeper Muhammad Ifwat Akmal Cek Kasim. Moving on to UEFA Champions League race, Bayern Munich beat Barcelona 3-0 at the Camp Nou earlier this morning to advance to the round of 16 as group winners. Javi Hernandez's side went into the match knowing they already had no chance of reaching the knockout round for the second year in a row after Inter Milan beat Victoria Pilsen 4-0 in the early window on Tuesday. Bayern raced into the lead with an early goal from Mane, who ran on to a pinpoint through ball from Sergei Gnabry, fended off Barca's Hector Bellerin and cleverly chipped the ball past an unrushing Marc-Andre ter Stegen. Choupo-Moting doubled the lead for the visitors right on 30 minutes, finishing from a tight angle through ter Stegen's legs after being played in with another clever ball from Gnabry. Barca looked set to halve the deficit from the penalty spot just before the break, but referee Anthony Taylor overturned his call for a foul in the area on Robert Lewandowski after a visit to the pitch side. Monitor showed the Poland striker had stepped into his defender to initiate the contact. With the match all but over, substitute Benjamin Pavard scored at the back post after Gnabry's cross shot fell kindly to him for Bayern's final goal of the evening. Meanwhile, Tottenham Hotspur midfielder Rodrigo Bentancur's header salvaged a 1-1 draw against Sporting to keep the London side in control of Champions League Group D. But the game ended in chaotic scenes as Harry Kane's last-gasp effort was disallowed. Tottenham began the match on the back of successive Premier League defeats which stopped their early season momentum. They were awful in the first half against Sporting, slow in possession and cumbersome in attack, and the visitors dominated. In the 22nd minute, the visitors went behind when former Spurs player Marcus Edwards was given time to line up his shot, and he duly beat Hugo Lloris with a sweetly struck left footer. Tottenham were vastly improved after the break and peppered the Sporting goal in their desperate search for an equaliser, with keeper Antonio Adden making sharp saves from Eric Dyer, Son Heung-min and Doherty. Victory for Spurs would have booked their place in the last 16 with a game to spare, and they thought they had sealed it when Kane fired the ball into the net from close range. The goal sparked wild celebrations in the touchline, but it did not last long as a VAR check that lasted several minutes ruled the goal out for offside, prompting a furious reaction from Antonio Conte, who was sent off for his reaction. Moving on to hockey, Malaysia's under-21 hockey squads failed in their mission to pick up at least 1 point on the 4th day of the Sultan of Johor Cup Hockey Tournament, SOJC. Playing at the Taman Daya Hockey Stadium last night, the national team went back empty-handed when they fell 2-4 to Great Britain. Champions of the 2018 and 2019 editions, Great Britain started the rout as early as the 2nd minute of the first quarter through Tom Morehouse's field goal, followed by a second field goal in the 17th minute of the second quarter through Fred Newbold. The visiting team, led by John Belby, managed to score the third goal through a penalty corner shot by Jamie Golden from Samuel Taylor's pass in the 34th minute of the third quarter. Great Britain added to the woes of SOJC's lowest team, managed by Muhammad Amin Rahim, when he added a fourth goal through Harrison Stone's field goal in the 43rd minute of the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, Malaysia finally returned the volley through Muhammad Danish Aiman Khairil Anwar's field goal in the 50th minute, followed by a second goal 3 minutes later through a penalty corner shot by Shahmi Irfan Suhaimi. Malaysia were desperate to pick up at least a point as they have lost all their matches in the tournament so far. Matches will continue today with Great Britain meeting India. The hosts face Japan and Australia playing SOJC debutant South Africa. In tennis, Carlos Alcaraz raced through the finish line at the Swiss indoors Basel by winning the final 6 games of a competitive match against Botic van der Zandschulp. The 6-4, 6-2 scoreline belies the hard-fought nature of Alcaraz's victory. Meanwhile, Felix Auger-Aliassime hit a new milestone at the tournament where he defeated Marc-Andrea Huesler for his personal best 9th consecutive tour-level win. However, it was a hard-fought win for the Canadian as he was pushed all the way for his 6-7, 6-4, 6-4 victory. Huesler strung together a series of high-class points to charge the first set tie-break in his maiden tour-level meeting with Auger-Aliassime. As the vocal home crowd cheered on the Swiss and his big serving lefty game, the third seed had to remain dialed in to clinch the sole breaks of the second and third sets and earn a 2-hour, 18-minute first-round triumph. Auger-Aliassime's 9 victories in a row have propelled the 22-year-old into a strong position as he seeks to qualify for November's NITO ATP finals for the first time. He will next take on Miomir Kekmanovic. And with that, we reach the end of Updates at Noon. Making our headlines today, 5 chicken producers given time extension until 19th December to refute chicken cartel allegations. Don't forget to join us again at 10 p.m. on Saluran Berita RTM for more news. And now, before we go, here's a clip of robotic wayang kulit performance in Pulau Pinang. I'm Renee Fong. Have a pleasant afternoon.